Hi, everybody. It's Gene Simmons, and you're not, and you're listening to the Potter Than Hell podcast with Steve, BC, BB, and Dylan. But you knew that, didn't you?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Potter Than Hell podcast. This is your last stop on the crazy train of hard rock and heavy metal. So sit back, buckle in, and hang on. Here we go.
Hey, you Potter Than Hellions. Welcome to the Potter Than Hell podcast. This is Steve, your host, and I am joined this week, as always, by
BC
and
BB.
And our keyboard player this week will be
Dylan.
And we have a special returning guest. Our first celebrity guest is back, and Carl Canedy. What's up?
How are you guys? Good to be back.
Glad to have you. We have a kind of a part two to one of our episodes that we've done in the past, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But let's find out what's going on with Carl Canedy these days. What's up, Carl?
It's a big list lately.
Or what's not up?
Let's see. A couple weeks ago, I was in Miami, recorded 5 tracks for the new St. James album. Excited about that. Today, I was working on a song for the new Killin' album, recording drums for that. The Canedy album, which is a band with Charlie Rosello, Tony Garuba, and Mike Santaciero, that's almost done. I have 1 drum track left, and they've been recording as well. So we're really close to finishing that album. I'm very excited about. And the new Rods album is nearing completion and close to getting ready to be mixed. And I'm going to play a track for you guys once we're off the podcast, just a little preview of it so you can hear a rough mix, see what that album is going to be like.
Cool. Okay, good night, and I will see you guys next week. And thanks for listening. That's awesome. I can't wait to hear all that stuff. I did see that you were in Florida recording with the St. James guys, and that first album that you did with those guys is just phenomenal, and I can't wait to hear the new stuff.
I think this is totally. It took a left turn. It's pretty modern, and it also has the singer from Young Turk.
Oh, okay.
They were all friends back when we were here in Carbondale and had the studio. Everybody became friends when I was producing those bands. And so now Rhett is the singer, songwriter with all of us for the new St. James. And so far it's pretty cool stuff.
That's going to be great. I can't wait to hear that. You know, speaking of new stuff, what's everybody listening to? BB, what do you got going?
The other day, a lady I work with were breaking my heart, and she says she was throwing away a whole bunch of LPs. I'm like, please don't do that. I will take them. Well, you probably don't like them. They're LPs. I'm sure I can find somebody who likes them. And it was a wide range. There was some jazz stuff. There was maybe some commercial stuff, like greater hits from 1968. There's Bob Dylan, Fleetwood Mac, Styx. But what really grabbed me was Foreigner's Records. I remember I had that on a cassette tape, and I thought even the cover of the LP was cool. It was like the old
jukebox.
The old jukebox, but it's embossed, and when you slide out the record, it has like little windows for the song titles. So I thought that was cool. And you know, all those songs from back in 1980 were always running around on the tape player at my house. So I thought it was real cool to dive back into that.
That's cool.
It was interesting.
And like that's your music, your time capsule takes you right back to when you were first heard that stuff.
Yep.
Cool. Dylan.
Yeah, like BB, I'm not listening to new stuff. I'm going back, checking out Def Leppard's back catalog. I've been seeing a lot of Def Leppard shirts at department stores lately. So that kind of spurred me a little sense memory on the album covers. So I've been listening to like All Through the Night, High and Dry, Pyromania. Mostly those first 3. Really solid albums, especially High and Dry and Pyromania. I think they're well put together, really cohesive, and really produced well too for the time. I could live without High and Dry's cover.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid.
I do like that it's into an empty pool, which I never noticed until I really looked at it.
Oh, really?
So that's kind of funny. But otherwise, good albums. So if you haven't listened to them in a while, check them out.
All right. BC, how about you?
I'm just listening to a bunch of Saxon, getting ready for Friday to reissue the next 3 albums. So.
All right, cool. Carl, do you have time to listen to anything new?
I've been listening to Sons of Apollo and Black Country Communion.
Two very good projects.
Yes.
Black country community. I can't stop listening. That's actually one that I'm actually still listening to. And I have to say, you guys, that I'm working on a retraction of my hatred for Thin Lizzy. I was going through my old albums, and I found the Live and Dangerous album, double album from '78, and I put it on. If I could just disregard The Boys Are Back in Town, and I haven't really checked out all the the deep tracks and stuff, but everything.
Just gonna slide my chair away so I don't get any of that lightning.
I know, it's gonna come right out of the microphone. But I've really enjoyed that album, and I've been kind of delving in a little bit more, and I'm liking what I'm hearing. So maybe I can have a full retraction at some point and just kind of forget that they ever recorded Boys Are Back in Town.
Now, do you have anything else you're listening to? Because I think you mentioned last episode you're listening to the Live and Dangerous. I think you did. I'm not sure.
Oh, did I? Oh, okay.
I think so.
I've been listening to New Godsmack. Godsmack has been playing quite a bit in my rotation, and like BC, I've been listening to a lot of Saxon also. But there's a lot of cool stuff out there. And speaking of new albums, before we get kind of rocking here, Pesh has a new album coming out in August 17th. It's called Forever Warriors, Forever United. It's a double album. It kind of sounds like the first album is going to be like really hard rocking stuff, and then it kind of sounds like the second one's going to be more melodic, I guess. And
so like Foo Fighters, In Your Honor, double album. First CD was rock and stuff. Second CD was more acoustic.
I'll have to take your word for it. And it looks like our buddy Johnny D has played on that album also, so we will have to get Johnny back on the show once that album comes out, and I think that's right around when we're going to see him with the NXS experience down in
Kick, right?
Kick, yeah, the NXS experience down in Bethlehem. So I wanted to throw that out there. One more quick thing. Last Friday, Dylan, myself, and my other son Carson went to see Bullet for My Valentine, Trivium, and Tooth Grinder, I think was the other band, right? Down at the Sherman Theater in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. I'm like totally like messing up today.
It's Mad Libs.
But I'll tell you what, it was a great show. Like heavy as all heavy could be. Tooth Grinder, never even heard those guys or even heard of them before. They were cool. They kind of reminded me a little bit of Linkin Park, maybe.
And
Dylan says no, but I don't know.
Inaccurate with that description. They are nothing like Linkin Park.
I don't know. Maybe because of the look of the singer or something like that. But they were pretty cool. They were cool. And the singer got out in the crowd, and everyone just held his feet, and he just kind of stood on everybody's hands.
I thought he was
cool.
standing on the preamps, but
no, people were holding him up.
I was surprised to learn that he was being held up, and he looked pretty solid.
I could never do that. I would never be able to hold me up.
Not.
Definitely not. But Trivium came on and just like a slamming set, and they're just the time changes in their songs, and just the and I really like their clean vocals on their songs, and the screaming stuff is cool, but their clean vocals for them is really cool.
This is the first time that I saw Trivium. I had seen Bullet before back in like 2011, I think, and it was really cool to see. The bands are similar, but they definitely have a unique style to each of them. Trivium's a little more consistently harder than Bullet. Bullet has a little more melodic sound to them, a lot more twin guitar action at times. Much like Thin Lizzy. I really loved both bands. I thought that the lighting for Bullet especially was some of the best lighting I've ever seen at any live show. They was so well timed and
it was
in sync with the music. I don't know if it was like I don't know how many times they practiced that. But that lighting,
it's almost like the lights were just on like some kind of timer with the music or something. It was phenomenal. We were talking about it real quick before we started recording. About that light show, just the amount of strobes they had during that show. If you have a seizure disorder, you definitely would have found out about it at that show.
Yeah.
And and Carl had mentioned that when you guys did rad stuff, you guys had to have.
When we played clubs and we were using big strobes, we had to post signs.
Yeah, they had signs. I know going into it, I was like, oh, I was thinking, okay, yeah, it's probably gonna be a little bit of strobe action, but it was like. It was intense.
Yeah, because I didn't see the signs, and then I mentioned it. I said, I could have gave someone a seizure. And then Dylan had mentioned that they did have signs up. I just never saw them.
So Trivium pulled off live what they do on album because their tempos are crazy. And
Yeah.
they're just phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely.
They did. They really did. Because I guess this is like a new drummer that they have. And they said this last album. No, that was
That's
Bullet. I'm sorry, that was Bullet.
Has a new drummer. Yeah.
But the Trivium drummers are actually, I think, relatively new also. I'm not really up on my Trivium trivia.
I was surprised by how much the crowd knew of Trivium specifically. They were like singing along to a ton of their songs, and I was expecting more people to be there for Bullet for My Valentine, which there were, but everybody was like really in sync with Trivium.
Remember when we saw Trivium BC open up for Maiden? Were you with us, BB, for that one? I think it was just you and I at that show. And Trivium opened up for Maiden and a lot of people. And this was back early 2000s.
They have a good following. I mean,
Yeah.
when you go places, people, you mention the word Trivium, and people are like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're unheard of.
Yeah, like you said, Bullet was like more melodic than them, but both sounded great. It was just an excellent show.
Trivium ended with In Waves, and it was such a heavy ender, like the screamo chorus of it's so intense, and everybody was just really into it. But the mosh pits were really weak, though.
Yeah, they
moshing.
weren't pitting too much at that show. Two guys standing in front of us wanted to start their own pit, but that didn't go anywhere. That fizzled out a couple times.
Yeah.
But three really cool bands.
Absolutely.
Check out those guys. And
It was rare to see Carson Wright at a concert.
my other son Carson, and he's lucky because he's so much taller than everybody. There's no way anybody's going to be standing in front of him, which is lucky
He's
him.
that tall guy you hate at concerts.
Yeah. like our friend Jim Polkowski that's been on the show. Like you can always see him right up at the front. Carl knows because he goes to the Rod shows all the time, and he's right there.
Can't miss him. Yeah.
Remember at the Priest concert? Is that Jim?
There he is.
You can see him across the arena. Yeah. So hi Jim. All right, let's get into it. This is going to be actually part 2 of our Mount Rushmore series. We were talking about doing shows. I think we only came up with this like a week ago. We were going to do it, eventually, but BC wanted to do it this week, so we're doing our Mount Rushmore of drummers. We want to thank Carl for participating this week, and actually, BB said, "Hey, why don't we get Carl?" I'm like, "All right, shit, I'll see if he'll do it."
Well, thanks, 'cause how could I miss out on drummers, right?
Yeah, that's right, and
As a bassist, Carl knows a lot about
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna each. I can explain a little bit for anybody that hasn't listened to the first one. We're doing Mount Rushmore, so it's going to be American artists, so it's going to be American drummers. Sorry, guys from Canada, we'll get to you guys eventually. Guys in Europe, you're coming up. So we're going to pick our personal Mount Rushmore, our 4 favorite drummers, or maybe not even favorite drummers, but ones we think should be up there. We're going to do a main mountain. After that, we're going to do kind of like guys that we think are a little bit under the radar that should be getting a little more props than they should. Let's get rolling here, guys. Who wants to go first? BC, was your idea? You go ahead first.
Raises the hand.
Look at that. He had his picks covered up until it was his turn to talk, and he's just unveiling them. Look at him. Behind curtain number 1 is BC's picks.
Open your case.
And it's the Dead Sea Scrolls on top of that.
That's right.
I'm going to start my list off with Randy Castile. Because, going back to the early 80s when everything was coming out and Lita Ford came out with Dancing on the Edge, and to me, the drum sound and just everything on the album drew me to it. I was like, damn, who is this guy? And he went on to carry on after that with Ozzy, and then finishing up at Motley Crue, believe it or not. He never got to actually be the touring drummer with them because he got sick, but he plays on their new Tattoo album and all the stuff he did with Ozzy, and
Yeah, he was on that.
I couldn't get enough of him back in the day. Instructional videos, I went out and got them, and the Ozzy live videos, you got those, and seeing the drums. So, it was just, everything was Randy back in those days.
Yeah, he was. I thought I enjoyed his drumming. I did like the Ultimate Sin, the live video they had out. That was really cool. And the drum solo, I forgot about the drum solo.
He was outside.
Yeah, I forgot
goofy.
about
It was
that.
just,
I'm gonna have to watch that again.
it was
That was
just
cool.
everything back.
Yeah, and he played great on the new Tattoo album. And actually, when we did our Motley Crue album, I want to say I don't think we mentioned that he played on that new Tattoo album. We talked about it real quick. We talked about Samantha Maloney playing the live shows, but I don't think we mentioned him that he was on that album. And I'll tell you what, that is a really underrated Motley Crue album. Anyone else thoughts on Randy Castillo?
And I want to find out.
I'm sorry.
They did a documentary about his life and everything, and like what do you call it? Help me out here, Dylan. Like
Netflix?
no, like festivals, like movie festivals,
Oh yeah, like film festivals.
independent type thing.
Yeah.
But it's coming out surprisingly on the same day that Lizzie Borden's new album's coming out. It's coming
They have
out.
a new album coming out?
They have a new one coming out
that was
June,
Yeah,
June
that's what I know.
15th.
I think
coming
they're
out,
fucking with you. I don't think it's going to happen.
But the life, blood, and rhythm of Randy Castillo is coming out on June 15th. That's going to be cool. I'm looking forward to it.
When you have breakfast in bed with Lizzie Borden, you guys can watch the documentary.
Lizzie, check this out. But that's one of my...
That's a really good underrated drummer. A lot of these drummers on the list, I think, are unsung heroes, I would say, of a lot of these groups and bands that they were part of. And Randy Castillo is definitely one of those.
He had a great show as well as playing. He's such a solid drummer. But
And watching clips from this upcoming documentary gets the people
I didn't even know that was. I didn't even know that was coming out.
There's so much love for him by
he dead?
everybody.
He
He
died.
died.
Yeah, he passed away.
2, I think.
He got cancer 2002, yes. March 26th of 2002 at age 51. He got cancer and he beat it the first time, then like a month or two later, I guess it just came back. And
it's a shame.
yes.
Good pick.
But
Good
everybody,
definitely.
there was not a bad word. Nobody has a bad word about him. And the stories they tell, it's like, this guy was just a cool...
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was actually on my underrated list, believe it or not. But he's scratched off by now. But
All right.
definitely, especially the stuff he did with Ozzy, it's
Good start.
so underrated.
Yeah.
Good start. Since you're talking, BB, go
Well,
ahead.
are
I'm
we
sorry.
doing key tracks?
We can, sure.
Are we not doing key tracks?
Yeah, I mentioned that. I'm glad you remind me, Dylan.
Anything off Dancing on Edge with Lita Ford or Ultimate Sin. And then him live. I mean,
Do it.
him live. Come
There
on.
you go.
Randy Castillo. Come on.
Okay, I had to get that out of here. Usually it's been later, but we had to get it out of here early. All right, BB, who do you got for your first pick?
All right, my first pick, I'm going to go with Steven Adler.
Okay. What band's he from? I don't think I've heard of him.
Adler's
Just
Appetite.
Adler's Appetite.
Oh, okay.
Played at M3 at one time.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
I remember it.
Steven Adler, drummer for Guns N' Roses on Appetite for Destruction and Lies
He also played on Civil War.
and Civil War. Just
On Use Your Illusion, just that- the only
right,
song
just
he
the
played
one
on that.
song. Yeah, what a great, phenomenal, underrated drummer. I really think he really brought these guys, not only Axl, he was kind of like the hidden guy behind the scenes who really brought their music and gave it such a sounding drive at that time, period of time that it came out back in 1987. It's just too bad, whatever happened with him and, him and Axl with their war on each other and getting kicked out. But he's coming back. I think he's like 4 years and 4 months sober. I just read somewhere.
That's awesome.
And he's got his new band now that he's touring with. So I think he deserves a little prop there for
I
what
totally
he started.
agree with that.
Yeah.
One thing that I've always said about Steven Adler is he always plays a perfect drum backing for any song he's in. Like everything on Appetite, the drums are. I was like talking to you about it.
Yeah,
in the car
actually,
one
we
time.
had that
It's like-
conversation
It's
actually
like
the
such
other
a
day.
natural thing. Like,
Yeah.
like your air drum along to the song, and it just feels so like.
He has a great feel.
Yeah,
we did a show
absolutely.
in Texas and they played, and Steven Adler's whatever it was, and we hung out with him at the hotel and he was cool. But when I heard him play, it was like that's the whole Appetite for Destruction sound. I
Right.
mean, that's the backbone of that record, and that's just the way he plays. And he is underrated and great drummer.
Yeah, I think he was definitely right in there, and nothing against Matt Sorm. I think you notice the great drum parts on Appetite more than you notice the great drum parts on the Use Your Illusion stuff and everything else, because they're like Dylan and I were talking. They're just perfect for the song, like the Mr. Brown, so the da 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 da. I mean, just like perfect.
Yeah, I think
totally fit the
it's.
songs.
I always look at drummers like that. Like Matt Sorum is a really great drummer, but he's almost a session guy. I'm not dissing him in any way because he's a great drummer, and I love stuff he did on. I think he did the Billy Idol stuff, right? That was great. But the fact that Adler has a style, a recognizable style, and a lot of drummers don't have that. They're great drummers, but you don't walk away going, "Wow, there's some character to that."
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about one or two key tracks, BB?
Well, you mentioned one of my two. I had Rocket Queen and Mr. Brownstone.
All right.
Both good songs.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, Carl. Let's hear from the expert here.
It seems to me like you're an expert.
You're allowed to pick yourself.
Okay, that's great. That won't happen. That won't happen. But
I know.
okay.
Now, in a million years, Carl would name 8 million drummers, and he would never name himself.
So, I guess first drummer I'm going to say is Carmine Appice for me. Not an underrated drummer, but having studied with Carmine, he was a hero of mine before I studied with him, and it changed my drumming. He was so helpful to me in so many ways, and it was interesting to meet somebody who was a true rock star, who was so down to earth, and because in upstate New York, a lot of the bands were cover bands playing. Songs they had nothing to do with, had a big rock star attitude, and suddenly I'm meeting a guy who really is a rock star, and he was humble and cool, and, then one of the things he told me, he goes, if you're playing because you want to play because you love it, not because you want to get laid, not because you want to get rich, you play because you love it, and it's true, and for me now, here I am 100 years old, and I'm still playing because I love it. For me, Carmine had a million tracks from Beck, Bogert, and Appice to Parchment Farm and the Cactus stuff, and even Rod Stewart. I mean, he's another guy who plays with each band he plays with, he has an identifiable signature within the context of the music he's playing. So for me, aside from the fact that he was a great teacher, but I've always admired what he brings to the music.
All right, cool. I know Carmen mostly from the King Cobra stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think that was great, and he's Vanilla Fudge too, right?
Yeah,
that's where I first exposed to him,
right.
The Fudge, and it was that was great.
So
too. Keep Me Hanging On was a great track.
Yeah, and that's a song that
Blue Murder was great too.
Oh, Blue Murder was great.
Yeah.
Blue Murder was excellent. That is a great
I
album.
love John Sykes' guitar.
John Sykes is good. They say he works a little slow, more than a snail's pace, but because he was supposed to be the original guitar player in the Winery Dogs, I guess. And I guess he worked too slow for Mike Portnoy and for Billy Sheehan, and they had to stop. But I guess they had stuff recorded. I'd love to hear some of that stuff. That'd be really cool. Awesome pick.
He also played drums on track 5 of the second best Kiss solo album, Paul Stanley's.
Take Me Away Together as one.
Yep.
And you could definitely tell on that Kiss on Paul Stanley's solo album that it is a different guy playing the drums on that song. Mm-hmm. The fills just at the end of that song are just like so bombastic. It's great. I'm gonna have to listen to that. Good call, Dylan. I forgot
Carmine
about
also
that.
plays, and I can't remember what song it's for. Pink Floyd, one of their later albums.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dogs of War from A Momentary Lapse of Reason.
Really?
1987.
I'm gonna have to listen to that. Let me write that down.
According to a quick Wikipedia search.
All right, cool. Dylan, go ahead. What do you got first?
I'm going to name this guy before BC names him. Mike Portnoy. He's been on everything, starting with Dream Theater. Well, starting with Majesty, then Dream Theater. He's been in bands
You killed Carl's list, too.
Sorry, Carl.
That's okay. A lot of drummers out there.
Yeah, he filled in for Avenged Sevenfold when the Rev died. He helped start Adrenaline Mob. He's in bands like the Winery Dogs. He was in Metal Allegiance, Sons of Apollo. He's done it all, and he is a consummate professional. Looks like he has fun every time he plays on stage. I've seen him once. I could have saw him with Dream Theater, but I was denied that chance.
Never lets me forget that, by the way.
No, I don't.
Ever.
A key track for me from Mike Portnoy, I can name anything of his because he is such a technical drummer, but I'm going with Constant Motion off of Systematic Chaos from Dream Theater. There's a lot of really cool time changes in that song. Some really cool fills, very complex drumming, but it still goes perfectly with the song. He knows how to show off his style, but also not overpower a song, and I think that's what makes a good drummer.
Cool. I always enjoyed him. Like you said, he's in a ton of different bands, and I did get to see him with Dream Theater, by the way.
Yeah.
And actually, when we did see him for that show, he had this drum kit. It was 4 drum kits on the stage, and he would just go from kit to kit playing each song, and they were an opening band. It was like, holy shit, it was just crazy. And I think he ended about 4 songs with the drum roll from Where Eagles There. I think he played that about 4 times at the end of songs, but it was like I haven't seen headlining bands with drum kits that big. I think it was 4 drum set. Was it probably 4 BC that he had, and he just went from drum kit to drum. It wasn't like Neil Peart, like where it kind of spun around.
No,
it was just like the whole. It was the drumming version of Yngwie with the 3/4 of the stage of Marshall in a little corner for the drummer and the keyboard and the bass player.
Yeah.
But and the guy did it justice. Real cool.
And something I like about Mike Portnoy is like he's able to change his style pretty well for all the different bands he's in. Like his drumming in the Winery Dogs is so different from his drumming in like Dream Theater, and it's so cool to see him become like a chameleon to do what fits the sound the best.
But he has a distinctive style.
Yeah, he keeps it his while being able to do it. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, he has some signature things he does, but I agree with you, Dylan. And that's when I first I knew of Dream Theater early on, but I just I thought he was a little derivative, and now the lightning's going to strike me, a little derivative of Neil Peart. So I listened to him, and that's because Dream Theater had all the odd time signatures like Rush, and he was playing those things, and I thought it was a little sterile, his drumming. I thought it was a little too mathematical for my taste. And then I went to see Billy Sheehan in a little club in Allentown with the Winery Dogs, and all of a sudden Portnoy has a 5-piece drum kit, 1 bass drum, 1 tom, 2 floors, and I was blown away by the fact that wow, this guy just stripped it down to nothing, and he was playing with such great feel.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I thought was missing sometimes in Dream Theater because of the nature of the music. Mm-hmm. And that's when I really, became a fan of his. And what you said, the fact that first of all he works fast.
Yeah.
And they just crank stuff out, and it's high quality stuff. And he works all the time, and he always has fun. And I've met him now, and he's just a really humble guy. And for a guy who's a master at what he does, and he's won more modern drummer awards than anybody. You would never know it.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Another thing I love that he does is when he's doing like a bass drum roll, he's air drumming.
Yeah.
Like that's so fun.
Yeah, that was
fun to
cool.
watch because you're just having a good time.
Yeah. And we've said it before on the show, the Winery Dogs, they're a band like you just don't know which guy to watch because they're all just absolutely amazing in their own right, and it's crazy. You kind of sometimes notice you're watching a video so that because you're one guy's doing one thing and you're watching it, and you can't watch everybody at once, and they're just amazing.
To me, Elevate was one of the, and I was going to say something about Thin Lizzy, Boys Are Back in Town too, but Elevate was one of those songs that I think is one of the ultimate singles in the sense that it has phenomenal harmony, has wicked playing throughout the song. It has a guitar solo, a bass solo, and a drum solo, all within the context of a single, which is unheard of for a single, and it's just testament to how great they are as musicians and composers.
Yeah, just in that alone is just a well-crafted song.
I was going to say this, going back to
Go ahead.
Thin Lizzy.
Go ahead.
Is the fact that when Thin Lizzy came out with The Boys Are Back in Town, lyrically, and then you had harmony guitars that were played, there were things that were on AM and FM radio, hit radio, that you weren't hearing from other bands at the time. And Thin Lizzy came out, and every band had to have a single to survive back then because it was channeled through radio. And Thin Lizzy was able to break through with that song. And I personally love the song, but I can understand what you're saying if you're looking at it from a commercial standpoint. But it did break some ground.
See?
I'm still skipping it. All right, cool, good, awesome pick so far. I'm going to start out. My first pick is going to be Frankie Banali.
Okay.
The drummer for Quiet Riot, but the reason I picked him is not for his Quiet Riot stuff. The stuff that he plays in Wasp, he drums on the most Wasp albums of anybody. He plays on a ton. He plays on the Crimson Idol. Actually, just take the Crimson Idol alone. That and Headless Children. The drumming on those 2 albums are just absolutely phenomenal. Just the playing on it, and it totally fits. And it's if you listen to the first 2 Wasp albums, Wasp, and then The Last Command, actually, and Inside the Electric Circus, totally different style. Like each album is its own, but they're all kind of together. But once you get to Headless Children, it's a departure from that, and it gets a little darker, a little heavier, and the drums are just more bombastic, I think, and more out front. If you just listen to Thunderhead on and the Heretic on Headless Children, and listen to the Titanic Overture on Crimson Idol, just absolutely phenomenal. And he drums, and he actually was a replacement drummer in Faster Pussycat when their drummer got thrown out. And I think sometimes, BC and I have talked about it a couple times, he has a tendency to overplay sometimes. We saw him for one show, and like he would do some crazy drum fills that totally did not fit the song. They were like, if you get some people will say like the first, like the Vinnie Vincent Invasion album, like he just totally like plays inappropriate solos. Some of the Frankie Benelli's drum fills got like that. That one show we saw, remember, we were like, wow, it was like too much. It was just like a little break in like Come On Feel the Noise or something, like just like a buzzsaw in the middle of the song, and it kind of didn't fit. It was a little too much. But when he plays, he hits hard, and he just, when he's not going crazy like that, he's just good, because he played that John Bonham set, that one show that we saw, and it was just killer. He's in
that Randy Castillo, Steven Adler vein of drumming. Really great drummer, and has a good style.
Yeah, he totally fits. And if you guys out there, if you haven't checked out any of the Wasp stuff besides the first 3 albums, Wasp, The Last Command, and Inside the Electric Circus, check out some of the other stuff. Great drumming on there, like Still Not Black Enough, Unholy Terror, Hell Dorado. I don't think he played on Hell Dorado. I think that was Sted Howland. But he played on the Neon Gods Part 1 and 2. Just great drums on there. So, I mentioned my key tracks. I really like the Heretic, and I really like, actually Chainsaw Charlie I like too. The whole drumming as a whole on the Headless, not Headless Children. Headless Children, yeah, but also Crimson Idol, just like totally great.
I agree with you on Frankie. I mean, a few times he got a little too crazy, but overall he's very solid. Almost reminiscent of John Bonham a little bit. How good he just hits
hard
in
the pocket.
Very cool guy, man. Me and BB got to meet him after the last Quiet Riot show. Very
humble.
And very
talked to us. Had a couple questions and gladly answered them. And it reminds me how you just see him and that's all you think of is Quiet Riot. You totally forget that he played those 4 Wasp albums.
4 or 5.
4, and it's like, oh my god, and then it brings you back, like, yeah, the Crimson Isles was a great album, and then you just realize
the Wasp albums.
Yeah, see,
I liked him with the 4 Seasons.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because his name kind of sounds.
I know what you're getting at. Frankie Valli.
Yeah. Okay.
Crickets, Dylan. Crickets. All right, BC, number 2. Who you got?
Another side of my mountain. I'm gonna go.
Are these the bookends now? Are you bookending it?
These are the bookends.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Scott Travis. I first, introduced or discovered Scott Travis in the band Racer X, which Paul Gilbert, I believe, was in with.
Yep.
And then I was always picking up the Racer X albums, like, oh man, who's this guy's like the double bass? I mean, back then that was kind of new. I think it was 3 years later he was the new drummer for Judas Priest, and I was like, wow, this could be interesting. And then when you put on first track of Painkiller, it was like the top of my head just blew off. I was like,
you forgot another kick-ass album he's on. He's the drummer on the Scream album.
I did find that today. I was like,
yeah,
I didn't know.
Dylan and I were talking about it, and I'm gonna have to call an audible. He was on one of my other ones, but listen to the song "I Don't Care" on the Scream album. Absolutely phenomenal drumming on that song. I mean, it's good. It's excellent through the whole album, but that's a standout track for me, for him. And like you said, Painkiller. And we talked about the album. I think I talked it to death. I think on the March Madness one with Scott Travis. I mean, he's just like boom, right out of the gate. You hear Painkiller, and you're like, whoa.
And then the little side project from that was Fight. The drumming at night was he's just, I mean, And there's a word for it. Dylan might be able to help me out someday down the road, but
Ambidextrous.
thank you. He's left and right-handed.
How did you pick that up from what he said?
Because he had both hands going.
I heard like on the road, and you go ambidextrous, and I'm like,
He beat you to it.
Bam! We're in sync. We're in sync.
do some charades, guys.
Anything from Painkiller up with them, and like I said,
Yeah.
Racer X days.
And even to their new Priest album.
And the new Priest album.
Anybody that's
There you go.
Anybody that's in a band named after a character from Speed Racer is all right in my book.
Yeah, definitely a great drummer.
Yeah.
New album we talked to death about. Just a great drummer. And how many younger drummers growing up listening to Judas Priest set their tone just to him too. You have to think of what of an influence he was, especially back then.
Really awesome.
Excellent. BB.
All right,
Good pick, BC.
we knew we'd show up sometime.
Doing good. So you're putting the curtain back down so we're not looking now.
All right, my next pick is going to be Tommy Aldridge.
He's not American.
Oh, he's
I don't
American.
think. Oh, is he?
He's American.
I'll go to
Texas boy,
He is.
right?
Yeah.
Edit that out,
It is.
Dylan.
Stop yelling
That's right, he
at
was in
me.
Blackfoot. I'm sorry. Why? Who am I
He's not
thinking of?
American.
I'm thinking of Cozy Powell. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry.
Continue.
Was he on your top four?
Yeah, I that's why I was laughing because I literally looked at his list and then you go,
said-
Tommy Aldridge,
My bad.
Mississippi.
I'm sorry, BB. Continue.
Oh, so my next pick will be Tommy Aldridge. Yeah.
Do over.
Click. He played with Pat Travers, Gary Moore, Ozzy Osbourne, Whitesnake, another phenomenal drummer with the big
The fro.
fro going in the back of the drum set. Really great drummer. What really brought me to his attention was live in Donington, Crying in the Rain. They do that and then they go into a drum solo after that. Phenomenal drummer.
Self-taught.
I agree.
Yeah.
I discovered Tommy Aldridge with Black Oak, Arkansas, and way back, and that's why I still wear wristbands because I saw Tommy Aldridge wearing wristbands, and when you're playing back then. Now I have a fan, but back then you're playing and it's hot, and back then I actually had hair and long hair, and you'd just be sweating so much. So having these wristbands was like a cool thing, like these little tennis, sweatbands. And I still wear them, but I still play Tommy Aldridge licks I stole. There's still some great stuff, and his solos are always great show and great playing.
Yeah, and he would do his solos with his hands, right? His bare hands.
Part of it.
Bare hands. I would say I think that I just picked it up on vinyl, re-picked it up on vinyl is Ozzy Speak of the Devil, and his playing on that
Phenomenal.
is unbelievable. And I'll say it here, and any Black Sabbath fan, you can come get me. Let's go. We'll fight. I don't think that those songs were ever played that good, or will ever be played that good again. Is on Speak of the Devil with Tommy Aldridge, Rudy Sarzo, and Brad Gillis. I think it is just an absolute phenomenal album. Sound you could hear. Everything is so out front. There's nothing that's in the background. The songs are played great, and Tommy Aldridge just absolutely crushes on that album.
Dylan, you might want to lock the door. Those Bill Ward fans are trying to get in.
Oh yeah.
I love Bill Ward.
Hey, you also know one band he played with for a live album, Thin Lizzy. He played on One Night Only, 2000.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So there you go.
I'll have to listen to that one.
And he's listed for playing with Dean Bay Miles.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
Also,
I'm still
Lords,
skipping it, even if Tommy Aldridge playing drums. still skipping it.
Motorhead. He's all over the place.
And he's considered the pioneer of the double bass drum.
Ted Nugent.
Excellent. Cool.
He's got a big.
Good pick. What do you got next up there, Carl?
Of the two I have left, I'm going to go with Charlie Benante. And I first, obviously, and I sound like Lionel Richie, when I was in the Commodores, that's all he said on American Idol if he was. When I was in the Commodores, I really had never heard of Charlie until we were in the studio producing the first album. And, in that time, I said to Charlie, they were young and they were doing the first album, and I said, you're going to be a drummer that is going to influence a lot of drummers, and no doubt about it. The guy has just maintained such a high level of playing. Not to mention he writes the majority of Anthrax music, the guitar riffs. He writes the songs, but I mean, he's just a phenomenal drummer from day one. The guy's just really kind of changed things, and that was a changing of the guard with Charlie Benante for thrash metal, and Charlie was one of the pioneers of that. But he did it with excellent chops and technique, as well as just power.
Absolutely. The one disappointing thing I had about when we saw Anthrax was that Charlie Benante
We didn't see
and
him,
Frankie
yeah.
Bello were
That was
out
when
for a family
I think
funeral.
his mom died, and he's the uncle of Frank Bello, I guess.
Yeah.
And they had a death in their family, so we got. Although we did get to see Joey Vera on bass.
Yeah, that was
and
cool.
we got
but
to see
it would've been great to see.
Tom Hunting. No, not Tom Hunting. The guy from Testament. Paul Bospa, is it? Paul? I forget the. Dylan will look that up, but and I have not seen Anthrax with him yet, but and Carl, you hit it on the head. I mean, and if anybody here would know, it would be Carl, because Carl produced the first Anthrax albums. He's just great. I think, and if you listen to the live album, is it We've Come For You All Live? That one, it was from that tour, and just listen to the bass drums on that album. It's just such a different sounding drum kit on that album. It's just cool as fuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great way of tooting his drums.
Good job. Dylan, you're up. Good pick, Carl.
Yeah,
Excellent.
sorry, I was still looking. So my next drummer, you're gonna say he's off-brand, but he has drummed with some amazing people and is an amazing drummer. I'm going Taylor Hawkins from the Foo Fighters. His drumming style is just amazing. He's probably one of the best working drummers, I think, today. I mean, you saw him live. You can stand testament to the fact that his drumming is amazing. A song that I want to highlight is Times Like These, which was a single, but it had a 7/4 time signature, which is crazy for a single on the radio. It's a really interesting beat, really cool, but it keeps the song going, and he's a drummer that really knows how to play for the song. I love every single drum choice he makes, and it was really interesting watching the Back and Forth documentary, seeing him record his drum parts for the album that we covered, Wasting Light, because he gets really frustrated with himself, and he kind of beats himself up about it. But he comes up with these amazing drum fills, and just straightforward when he needs to be, flourishes when it's necessary. Really good drummer. He also drummed for Alanis Morissette, so I do love Alanis Morissette.
I think she's great live.
Yeah.
I agree with you about him. He is incredibly tasteful. Everything he plays fits perfectly, is no showboating. And I can see Dave Grohl is a great drummer. And I can see why he wanted him behind the kit, because he's a similar playing. Very powerful and very precise, and just no frills, and very tasteful. Right, perfect for the song.
He is great, and I did see him live. Although I was disappointed, though, when they did Times Like These, they did it like an acoustic thing. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I wanted to see that song, and then they did it acoustic. I was like, shit.
It's cool when he sings,
but
too.
he was really, really cool to see live, like a great... and there's a lot of drummers out there that are good, solid drummers, but they're not good drummers to watch. It's kind of like watching Charlie Watts, maybe, or like a Phil Rudd. I mean, they're good and they're solid, but they're just kind of boring to watch. But he's he gets into it.
He's not there to look pretty. He's really playing.
Yeah.
And it was John Dett that filled in for Charlie Benante when we saw him.
Okay.
John Dett from Testament.
All right. Good pick. My next pick is going to be, hold on to your seats, everybody. There's going to be one makeup figure on my mountain. It's going to be Peter Criss. Let me explain.
Wait, you said...
I know I've not been the biggest...
Wait, is this like a serious pick?
This is a serious pick. But it's going to be Peter Criss from 1974 to 1977.
You're going to be getting struck by lightning
I am.
from a ton of places today.
I know. Someone's got to be the heel, right? But...
We're going to have to walk you out.
I know. I'm going to have to hire security.
We want the credentials.
But, and BC and I have talked about this before, before he started to decline, he was kick ass. Just watch the Kobo show from '75. he just absolutely tears it up on that. And he is just rocking, hitting hard. And like, I think that's one of the things that I think deteriorated with him. He was not hitting the drums as hard. Like, if you've seen him on the reunion tour, I mean, oh, God, like, when they had the one show he didn't play, they had a replacement drummer for him. And the very first thing they had to do was turn the mics down because the guy actually started to play. And it was too loud because they had to have the mics turned up so high on the drums to make them be heard. But like back in the day, he was happening. He was even just watch this. I think it's early '77 show, or it must be '76, the one that was on Homebox that they recorded in Japan with the Destroyer costumes and the Live 2 stage. Even the solo on that, great. And I absolutely love the drum solo on God of Thunder on the Live 2. So I think he, we'll put him in that box of 74 to 77, and I think he has a well-deserved spot on my mountain.
I agree.
Yeah, hugely influential drummer.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I don't like that one live performance where they were doing She, and he would do the no.
Oh.
Like, I hated that. But his drumming was good. His drumming was good in that era. Absolutely.
I saw him on the reunion tour, and he was definitely, I would say, tired.
Where did you see? Did you see? Were you on one of the Philly shows?
No, I saw him at Montage. I think Montage.
Oh, it's probably
not in Montage. State College, I think.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad you put the dates there. So that's,
Yeah, I had to, and it's
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
have it in black
Are you
and white,
gonna-
74 to 77.
Are you gonna have it engraved under his face? Like,
Yeah.
Well, he lived a short time.
Special black. Wow, he's only 3 years old.
Definitely. So there's my guy. Moving right along. BC, what do you got up next, my friend?
Going back.
You're doing good. Don't drop the ball now. You got a good momentum going, BC.
I'm going back to my
One
youth.
veil. He's got it covered.
I'm going
No
back-
pressure.
I'm going back to my youth as always, and I'm probably going back to 85-ish. I'm not exactly great at that. Queen's Records, Scott Rockenfield. To me, just back then when he first came out, and then they started getting into Rage for Order, and it was just a lot of different. He was more technical to me, I think, back in that day. I mean, even today it still is, but
Some great music when they.
it. You got all the Queen Turk albums, and he has a slave to the something with Kelly Gray, Damon Johnson, and Roman Glick, Brother Kane /
Slave to the Grind.
Slave to the Grind. I'm going to say that.
I don't.
It sounds
isn't,
like,
but I
Skid
was
Row.
just joking.
It's something like that. It's slave to something. But anyways, I screwed that up. And that just came out like 2 years ago, maybe.
Oh yeah.
It was very weird. Yeah. So
Did you ever hear it?
I did not hear it. I've been looking for it, but
look
did
for
not
it.
come across it.
Cool.
Slave to the system.
Yeah,
Slaves are
I'll tell you what. He's
Grindy.
a very distinctive sounding drummer. When we've seen Queensryche numerous times, and we saw the Jeff Tate version of Queensryche, and
Tater Right.
Brian Tishy drummed the show that we saw, but you could definitely tell. I mean, they played the same stuff, but you could definitely tell the Scott Rockenfield version
Just has-
of the. Even if you take the Todd out and you take Jeff Tate out and you just had the two separate bands play, I think that the drums of Scott Rockenfield would be the one that you would say, yeah, that's the band of Queensryche, not the the Tater-Reich version, as some people like to call, which is a really good band too.
They were both pizza, but there's something about the cheese on.
I agree with that. And we were talking earlier about Adler and Matt Sorum. I had this conversation with a friend recently, and we were talking about how a lot of times bands become successful and they have a drummer in the band, and they don't really value the drummer per se. They think, well, now we're big and we can just replace him, and you can. But a lot of times, just like Steven Adler, there's a character to what he brings to that. Scott Rockenfield, that there's a feel and something, there's a pulse that the band kind of forms around, and you can replace it with somebody technically who's on the money, but some little piece of something's missing, and not all the fans are going to notice it in live, but like obviously you guys who are really into music, you notice that stuff.
And we just saw him.
We
in
just saw him,
N3
yeah, with a different drummer.
with a different drummer, and this drummer was great. He really brought it, and I was surprised at how good he fit in with them. But like you said, you can tell
You have just that little bit of difference
difference
that
that-
it's that, that certain something, that unnamed thing that is just there underlying. I mean, it's still good, but
It's good.
It's,
I mean, good.
you do have that just kind of missing.
It also influences the songwriting.
Yeah.
Which a lot of times musicians forget and they move on. Then all of a sudden, why is it, as they progress, their music kind of maybe not as inspired, maybe something's missing in it, and a lot of times, I'm not saying it's always the drummer, but I'm just saying there's a certain chemistry a band will have initially that, hopefully you can.
But he's very involved in like movie soundtracks, commercials, and he came up with the Hollywood loops. It's the sound effects things for video games and stuff. Came up with his own raps for drums.
For
I mean, he's
raps for
he's
drums,
doing
yeah.
everything. I mean, he's.
All right.
So that's probably why he's not touring with them now.
He was off. His wife was having a baby or something, so I don't know if he just said, screw it for a while. But, Scott, I know you're out there listening. Good luck. Come back. Cool. Good pick, BC. I'm going to have to reshuffle a little bit there myself. BB, what do you got?
All right, well, since you went one makeup, I'm going to go with the other makeup, his replacement. I'm going to go with Eric Carr. He was with Kiss from The Elder all the way up to Hot in the Shade.
Awesome album.
The first time I caught a glimpse of him was...
What, Elder?
Was it the Elder concert? They did like Brazil, and it's...
Yeah, their last makeup
and it's
shows.
just like there's miles and miles of people, and this is the first time I saw Eric Carr visually drum, and he just blew me away. His drum kit was humongous, and he fit great with Vinny the way Vinny would shred, and Eric would just beat the crap out of his drums, and he was so young then, and it really brought a different sound that Kiss had all the way through the 80s, which I think that was a great time for them.
He was older than
Yeah.
Paul Stanley.
Was he?
Yep.
My opinion, I think Eric Carr's the best drummer in Kiss. I mean, Eric Singer, I don't think is allowed to do what he does best in Kiss because he has to service the songs a certain way nowadays. But I think Eric Carr was allowed to show off all of his skills in a way that Eric Singer really kind of isn't today. His drumming is absolutely phenomenal.
I think
on those
Asylum
albums.
he's tight in Asylum, King of the Mountain.
Oh yeah.
Unbelievable.
We got a BB.
See, it's like a disease.
Spreading. That's because you're sitting closer this week.
And another iconic drum intro to Creatures of the Night, the Falling Down the Stairs.
Falling down the steps. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. I really liked Eric Carr. I thought he was a good fit for them at the time. And they say he was the guy that was the link to the fans. He was the one that would go out and hang out with people and, take pictures and everything like that, where, Gene and Paul or, the bigger stars or whatever were kind of, hang back and be a little more reclusive. But his playing was phenomenal. I really enjoyed his, and I'm not a drum solo guy, but he had those electronic drums to do the sound effects and stuff. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And I was really glad that I got to see that before he passed away. And but just a great drummer. And I felt, and I think I talked about in another episode, I felt bad for him when he joined the band. They Unmasked had come out and he toured with them. But then when they went in the studio, he had to be thinking, "What the hell is this Elder shit?" That I'm in Kiss and we're playing like Pink Floyd type stuff or whatever.
Why is Paul
not
singing falsetto?
Yeah, it just had to be like a what the fuck kind of moment for him, I think. But I think he was a great drummer. Anything on him, Carl?
No, I agree with everything you said. A great drummer. He was a great fit for the band. By the way, when I saw him in Penn State, Power 900, Power was the band that opened.
Power Man 5000.
Power Man 5000.
Power Man 5000. Yeah, are they still around?
I don't know. They were very much a product of the 90s.
I think so, yeah. I think they kind of...
They're very
died with the
industrial
90s.
metal, like Rob Zombie type,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly.
Cool. You're up next, Carl.
Okay, so this is just thinking of American drummers was actually hard because it made me aware of the fact that the majority of the drummers that were influential to me really were European and Canadian, not so much American. But the one drummer who was very influential on me, and I just still respect the way he plays, is Don Brewer from Grand Funk Railroad. He was just a monster in terms of clean, precise, solid, and you listen to the live Grand Funk Live, and it's just he's crushing it. He's spot on. He's powerful, and for the time, he was an extremely powerful drummer. And just I stole a lot of things from Don Brewer, but when I listen to it now, I realize that he was so solid. That's why they would go in the studio, and from what things I read, they would rehearse extensively and go in and record very quickly, and because they had it down and everything was laid out. And but he's so solid to this day. Surprising. You listen to some of those drummers from back then, and they were not that solid. The timing, but he was like a metronome.
All right, cool. Is he still touring with those guys?
He actually tours with Grand Funk, and also he toured for years, and I think he still does with Bob Seger.
Oh, cool. And he's got a Kiss tie-in too. Bruce Kulick plays guitar in Grand Funk Railroad now with those guys, because he had to leave Kiss Cruise 7 last year early because they had dates that they were playing, so he was only on the ship for like one day, and then he had to leave. But cool, we'll definitely throw him out there. And American band. I mean, hey, gotta love it. Absolutely.
It was a cool intro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dylan.
My next drummer, he is more solid in the rock world than you could say Taylor Hawkins is, even though he is also solid in the rock world. I don't care what you say. Chad Smith, mostly known from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but he was also in Chickenfoot, which is an amazing supergroup. Joe Satriani, Sam Hagar.
It's really Will Ferrell, isn't it?
It is. And I
I'm gonna
love
say
that.
he was in the movie Step Brothers.
They had a drum off.
He
and
was the
that
guy
great.
teabagging the drums.
That was great.
He kicked the shit out of Will Ferrell in the drum off, but he's another drummer. He adds kind of like a funk to his drum beats, especially in the Peppers. I mean, that's basically a funk rock band. Flea and Chad Smith, that rhythm section is just straight, just wild. But I do love his drumming in Chickenfoot, specifically in the song Down the Drain. I like how it starts off a little slow and then it picks up the pace towards the end. He has some really cool, I keep saying they have cool drum fills, but they do. Each of these guys do. They know how to play drums. And they know how to lay a solid foundation for the rest of the band to paint the tapestry on. And I think that's a key aspect of a drummer. Chad Smith.
Very.
Yeah, I like him. I like him in Chickenfoot as well. And I've seen him live, and I've watched his videos, and he's a drummer who he has some chops, but his whole thing is about the groove, and he's a hard player, and he's solid. But that's what makes the Chili Peppers, So it's that whole basis, the rhythm section. Everything else is built on top of it. Kind of floats on top of that rhythm section.
Yeah, he's another good drummer to watch. He's right in there, gets into it. Did you guys ever see the video he plays at some college football game with the band? Mm-hmm. That is so cool that he does that. It was like really. I'll have to find that. I'll have to post that.
I think it was a basketball game.
Oh, was it a basketball game? I wasn't sure. I knew it was some college game.
Yeah, right. I do remember that. That was a cool video.
That was very cool. Excellent. Good pick, Dylan. My next pick, I'm going to stay in the 70s as a starting point. Mr. Alex Van Halen. Hey, I mean,
he's not American.
You gotta throw this guy. He's an American band. He's naturalized.
He's legitimately not American.
He's naturalized. Sonny is listening to this now, shaking his head, going, no. But Alex Van Halen, you think of American rock bands, you think of
AC/DC?
Yeah, American rock bands, you think Aerosmith, Kiss, Van Halen, like right off the top of your head, and just a kick-ass drummer, and he's a guy too that I think is right in the pocket there. Anywhere from the craziness of the rumbling drums at the beginning of Hot for Teacher down to like. Bottoms Up, where it's more of a kind of a, bluesy kind of, song like that, or even to a song like Take Your Whiskey Home. Just a great drummer, although he does do way too long of drum solos. But like very cool. And I always liked the old videos they would show on MTV when I think it was Hear About It Later, where he lights up the thing around the gong and has the gong thing on fire. He's smashing it. I mean, just cool as shit. And he's always had interesting drum kits too.
Right.
I love the Fair Warning ones, the black and white striped ones. They were such a cool looking drum set, and it totally like fit.
Do you know the one song that he recorded not with Van Halen, technically? Because there's only one song that he recorded outside of the band Van Halen.
I do not. I have a feeling he's going to tell me though.
Yeah, it's Respect the Wind from the Twister soundtrack. He recorded it with Eddie, but it's
not a Van Halen
it's
song.
Eddie and Alex Van Halen as the artist, and it's not Van Halen the band. So yeah, the only song he ever recorded outside of Van Halen, which I find very interesting.
Cool.
Grand Loyal.
I'm surprised at that too, because I think he's a great drummer, and I've stolen a lot of things from Alex Van Halen, and but I think he's he's a great drummer as well, and I'm surprised that he didn't play on more projects. He was living in LA, and
Yeah.
would have thought people would tap him. But again, he has a very identifiable sound, and might not work for every band.
Yeah.
I think him and Eddie are very loyal to one another, because you really don't see Eddie playing on other stuff too. He played the stuff on Beat It, but like other than you don't even really
He
hear a
didn't
lot
even
about.
get paid for that. He just gave that out.
Yeah, I know.
do it
I love
anymore,
that
right?
shit.
that was
Like he needs the money or nothing, but
Here you
holy
go.
fuck, talk about flushing
not
money
gonna
down the
go anywhere.
toilet. But I think they're very loyal to one another. That's why you don't see those guys doing outside stuff, I think. But
Which is cool. I mean, they're
Yeah.
a great band. I personally have a little thing about Eddie Van Halen. I just think I'm angry with the guy, because I love Van Halen and have loved him so much, and he's just done everything under the sun to screw the band up. And it's like, what is wrong with you? You have
Just get out and
a
play.
Great band. Yeah, shut up and play and stuff.
yeah, a lot of
being
bands
a
have that
jackass,
problem. Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, that's some of that's.
Carl, Sammy or Dave? I got to ask you.
Each in their own era. I mean, I love Dave in the early days until he became kind of a caricature of himself. And then
That's a good way to describe it.
and I love Sammy Hagar, and I've seen Sammy with his own band, and he's just a ball of energy. And I've seen him with Van Halen, and he's great. But I love both of the Van Halen and the Van Hagar.
Okay.
So
It's a very diplomatic answer.
That's
I
right.
don't need to be walked out of the building.
All right. That was me.
Yeah. Good job.
BC, last pick of your original mountain here. This is the last round of round one. This is
And then we'll make it over the mountain.
the other guy in the middle.
I'm going to an audible. I'm gonna go with Tommy Stewart. He came in with Lillian Axe for Psychoschizophrenia, which
Psychoschizophrenia.
Is that like Psycho Circus?
but his drum style to me brought Lillian Axe up to a new level.
What's his name?
Tommy
Tommy
Stewart.
Stewart.
Tommy Stewart. Okay. Is he Chad Stewart's father?
Rod Stewart's brother.
Cousin. But to me, when he came in, Lillian Axe just gave them a whole new depth.
Oh, so that was his first album.
That's his first album.
Psychoschizophrenia.
Yeah.
Excellent album.
Not that it was
Definitely.
bad, but when that came out, I was like,
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think that album is definitely a step up from their
the
other
previous stuff. To me, it was
I didn't know his
thought.
name, but
Because of him, I thought.
I have to check it out.
And then after that, kind of Lillian Axe, it was when the music was.
Yeah.
And Lillian Axe kind of took a hiatus, and then he joined Godsmack. And I saw him at Tinks in Scranton, and the style he was in Godsmack was even different from Lillian Axe, and I was like, this is style.
oh, he's the original drummer.
He's the original Godsmack drummer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He wasn't the original, because there was a guy
There's
that was
one
on
guy
Godsmack and All Wound Up. But then he came on All Wound Up as the touring drummer, and he was there for Awake, which has like some pretty good songs like Awake, Bad Magic Group.
That guy did the album. Somebody else did the album, but he toured for the first album.
Okay.
But to me, his drumming style, a little, I don't know how to put it. He has a tinge different.
Little more.
And he did the drums
Unique,
on I Stand Alone
I think.
as well. Plus he was in Halloween.
Cool pick. I mean, that Psychoschizophrenia.
That was like
I
demos,
pronounced that horrible.
Yeah.
Schizophrenia. Just a great album. Check that album out. It is excellent. That's my go-to Lillian Axe
And
album.
before all that, he was in Halloween for like demos or something.
Yeah.
I don't think he was really out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And after Godsmack, he did some projects, and like Low Pro was one of them. A little more
Mainstream.
modern, I think mainstreamish than my taste. But still, his drumming style is still different.
Wow, that was quite an autumn.
Stuck with me.
Good call.
All right.
Good call, though. I mean, I for you guys out there that aren't familiar with him or Lillian Axe or that album, definitely check it out. Psychoschizophrenia, great album. Excellent. Good pick, BC. All right, BB, what do you got up there,
All right.
friend?
My last one, we're going to go very quickly over this, but it's going to be Alex Van Hagar. For my buddy Sonny Pooney out there and our friend Jen Roberts Vena. Alex
You can
Van
only see the
Hagar,
frown on my face right now.
he's going to be on Mount Rushmore with sunglasses and a neck collar because 90% of the Balance tour he drummed, he had a neck collar on. So this is why we're going to put Alex Van Hagar up
Can't
there
be from
with
the head banging. BC almost spit his beer across the table.
Oh, good.
That's my last pick of a couple songs. Source of Affection. I know you wait 1-2 is a really good one. Get Up 5150. Check those two songs out. Great drum intros on those songs. Just to throw some fuel in the fire.
I got nothing.
Wow.
Alex Van Hagar. That was BB's pick. All right.
Not like he was picked already.
We'll let Alex with the neck brace. Neck brace, Alex.
Alex Van Neck Brace.
All right. I'm still shaking my head. Carl, what do you got?
I have for underrated drummer. Are we there yet? Are we?
Not yet, but
Oh,
go ahead.
No, it's
Oh.
okay.
We're on the last mainstream guy.
Last mainstream guy. I don't have one.
Okay.
Yeah, he had, somebody picked one of Carl's before.
Okay. No problem.
Nice.
All right. Dylan.
My last main Mount Rushmore guy, a drummer that's played with a bassist that another drummer on my list has played with, Pat Torpey from Mr. Big. His drumming, that's another band that every single member of that band is like a master at their own craft. Some crazy stuff that band does in general. The song that I'm focusing on is Still Ain't Enough For Me from 2011's What If. Starts off with some really cool drum fill, and then just goes crazy from there. Everybody has a moment to shine in that song, but especially Pat Torpey. Solid drummer. It's hard to stand up to a band that has Billy Sheehan and Paul Gilbert in it. Holds his own really well, and they are all just like at each other's level, and I think they elevate each other too in that band. So Pat Torpey, Mr. Big.
They do excellent. Unfortunately, he passed away last year.
Yeah.
I got to see him in New Jersey, and on that tour, and he was great, and it was sad. I mean, he came out, he sang great, he played a little bit, he was struggling, but they got him out on the road, and they wanted him there, and he participated, and he was part of the family.
Yeah, because that last video they did with them, they have, I don't know if you've seen it or not, Carl, they had the replacement drummer, but they had him in the video too, and it was cool. It was good to see
He
him.
had a small kit, and he would play, plus he played on the main kit.
Cool, good drummer, good pick.
I saw him back in 2011 at M3 when Mr. Big played, and I was really glad because they played Still Ain't Enough For Me, and blew me away. I was just shocked by how amazing his playing was live and studio. So yeah, I think he definitely deserves to be etched in stone.
Good pick. My last main pick is going to be, I can't believe that no one really mentioned this guy. These days, it's rare for the band to have an original lineup, whether it be someone, unfortunately like Mr. Big has passed away, or someone, skills deteriorated, or just, got thrown out or whatever. But Joey Kramer from Aerosmith.
Yeah.
With them from the very beginning, still with them now. God only knows what they're doing now. They're supposed to have like one more tour or whatever. But just nothing flashy. Very solid. Services the song very well. And I think he's just him and Tom Hamilton. They're just a great basis for their songs. A great foundation, and two solid guys. They're not outspoken guys. They're just that groove of the Aerosmith sound that they can let Steven and Brad and Joe Perry. They can let them guys just do their thing, and these guys just hold the back line. I think he's just a guy that you don't hear a lot about. He's got his own coffee, and but really good solid drummer. I think he definitely deserves a place on my mountain.
Yeah, Joey Kramer's amazing. Well, I read his autobiography a while back. That was really good. I can't remember what it's called right now. I can picture the cover in my
Drums
head.
and Coffee, isn't it?
No, it's not Drums and Coffee.
Speaking of that, you guys should have a Hotter Than Hell coffee.
There you go.
I'd have to have a tea because I'm not a coffee drinker. So maybe we'll do a tea and a coffee. There you go. Because actually, one of our friends out there, Angela Phillips, she actually bought a Hotter Than Hell coffee mug. Yeah.
It's called.
And I'm sure it tastes way better.
It's called Hit Hard: A Story of Hitting Rock Bottom at the Top.
Oh, cool. I'll have to check that out. I haven't had a chance to read
Good.
that
I'll
one.
lend you my copy.
Oh, thanks.
He does
Thanks.
a great feel though. Like Walk This Way is just
Oh yeah,
that says it all about his drumming.
absolutely.
Yeah,
He's a
he's
great
definitely
too.
one of the hidden guys in that band. Like, he's definitely like the last one you'd mention.
And Tom Hamilton doesn't get. They are a killer rhythm section, but
Oh, you hear
they
about
play
his Steven
so
Tyler
well.
and
Yeah.
Joe Perry.
They're so
Yeah.
tight.
You say the average Aerosmith. Name the guys in Aerosmith. Okay, Steven Tyler, Joe Perry, and those three other guys.
Placido Domingo and
Yeah.
the other.
The other guy.
Gary Chaffee had a great. He had an interview in Modern Drumming. He was talking about Joey Kramer, who came to him for drum lessons. And Gary Chaffee's a renowned drummer, technician, and they said, what did you show Joey Kramer? And he said, well, I have this humble little house, and every week he drove up in this new, incredible sports car. He goes, so what was I supposed to tell him? Which is true. He played great. Why would you mess with it? He wasn't, Joey Kramer's a great drummer in his own right. He's not necessarily the technician someone like Gary Chaffee is, but, made it work. Great drummer.
Services
Solid.
the band very well.
Yep. I think so. All right, cool. That's our main mountain here, and we'll get right into our kind of under the radar guys. Let's keep we'll keep the rotation going. BC, who's your first guy on deck here?
I'm gonna go with Shannon Larkin, currently with Godsmack, and before that he was with Ugly Kid Joe, Wrathchild America. I mean, definitely a technique guy. But he can rock out too. He's very behind the scenes.
And it's kind of he's one of my backup guys. It's funny, before we were recording tonight, I was watching. We talked about Bullet for My Valentine and Trivium. They played Rock on the Range the day after the Dylan and I and Carson saw them, and also Godsmack played there. And I was just watching the video from that, and Shannon Larkin's the drummer. Like, what a kick-ass drummer! Just like arms, it's like crazy, but totally with the music. It's just fantastic drummer, and very, very cool pick. And even the Ugly Kid Joe stuff is just phenomenal. Just a little more subdued than some of the Godsmack stuff.
Well,
but
he came in after the first guy, I think, was let go because of stuff.
little substance stuff going on there.
He's on my favorite Godsmack track, Love, Hate, Sex, Pain. Such a cool, he has some really, I like his nice halting beats on Godsmack. They're very impactful.
He fits Godsmack.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Sul Urine is so great, so that any drummer he has got to be phenomenal.
And he's a great. Sully Erner's an excellent drummer too. They do that dual drum solo thing.
He was the drummer of Mine something.
Was
Before
it?
Godsmack, he was a
Let me look real
Mine
quick.
Scheme?
Good. Something like that, yeah. Really good solid pick though. Excellent. BB.
All right, my first underrated guy. He may be on one of these traveling tribute albums or something, but He's not on a album that I know of. Zoltan Chaney. When you're talking about underrated, you have to talk about this guy. He is the modern day Animal from the Muppets. He plays with Vince Neil's band. He plays with Mark Slaughter's band. You know, we've talked about him a couple times here on the podcast. If you guys have a chance to go see this guy, he is a show in himself. Like I said, the modern day Animal from the Muppets.
Yes.
That's how I have to.
And a really nice guy, and I know we have definitely talked about him before on the podcast. Super nice guy, totally. But like for as crazy as he plays, he just keeps the beat, like just
Right.
like.
And then he throws a couple fill-ins that you don't normally hear in the song, and then it's back. It's really, really, really great drummer.
Dylan, have you seen him?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's one of the only saving graces of the Vince Neil band.
Yeah, well, the only bad part about the Vince Neil band is Vince Neil. The best part of the show is when he leaves the he leaves the stage.
He's definitely a drummer to watch.
Have you ever seen him play Carl?
I haven't.
Check him out
Check him
on
out,
YouTube.
yeah.
Like just
I'm
like
making
it's
notes.
crazy.
A lot of drumstick acrobatics and
My legs
like,
and back hurt watching him.
yeah, like he'll throw his leg up on the hi hat. Like when he's playing, it's just like holy
He's
crap.
kicking it, hitting it,
Yeah.
over here, he's
Yeah.
kicking it.
Just I mean, good solid pick there,
makes it a
BB.
lot more work that he needs to, but it looks really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's another thing. Like I can't believe he's not somewhere. I'm sure he's probably played on a tribute album of
Yeah,
super
I don't know.
groups,
It seemed like he just came out of nowhere.
right.
And he's not a young guy either. I thought he was a young guy, but when we met him, he's like
He's probably
around our age,
yeah,
around our age,
definitely.
you know. But like really great, solid guy. Cool. Carl, you got any underrated guys for us?
I do.
All right,
Vinny Appice.
Vinny.
Peace. Vinny Appice. You know,
Tomatoes.
I mean, I think he really, again, a stylist. And on the Dio stuff, just played some monster drum tracks on the Dio stuff. But in Sabbath, and I don't think he gets his due, because when you're playing the dirge-like things, it's very hard to play slow and heavy. And everybody thinks, oh, it's so simple. It's not simple. And he's the master at that, and he doesn't get any credit for it because it's not a flashy thing. But it's really hard to play, and he makes that stuff sound so great. But it's hard to play, and he does a great job on it. And I just don't think he gets the recognition he deserves, and mostly because of that, because he plays a lot of that stuff that, you know, the average person just goes, yeah, whatever. He's just playing a simple beat, boom, bam.
Right.
It's nothing, you know.
I totally agree, and we did an episode on the first 3 Dio albums, and I said in that episode that he's a different kind of drummer. I think like the Dio stuff. There's some kind of little offbeat beats that he does. It's so much different, I think, from a lot of stuff that's out there. It totally fits the song, but it's like you hear it and you would think that an average drummer wouldn't approach the songs that way. It's just
Right.
it's a
No, that's
different way of playing.
He plays some great stuff in Last in Line too, and that's some killer stuff. But you know, when I was studying with Carmine, again, I sound like back in the Commodores. But you know, he was Carmine was telling me about. I was playing a lot of doubles at that time because I was influenced by Billy Cobham, and you know, I was playing a lot of doubles. And Carmine plays doubles as well. But he said my brother was 16. He was just, I had no idea who Vinny was at the time, but he said he'd only play single strokes. He won't play doubles. And if you listen to his playing to this day, he plays single stroke rolls.
Yeah.
And that's what you're hearing on those Dio albums. It's all single stroke stuff. And that's what makes it a little bit different, and it's really cool. There are no
That's
roughs.
good. Yeah, and anymore that's kind of rare. Everyone's doubling out, if you want to call it that.
I love him with Heaven and Hell. That album really solid. Even the Cannibals, like he has that pace and he sets it, and
it's huge sound. It's hard to get that.
It is a huge. That's the word to describe it. It's huge.
You're talking about the way he plays and everything. I think on Angry Machines, a lot of that, like off, like I said, slow and hard, and just
Absolutely.
Very cool. Absolutely. Excellent pick, Carl. I'm glad you threw. Actually, he's a guy which I have a list of a ton of guys here, and I'm surprised I don't have him on my list. Wow. What? I know. Like me with Tommy Eldridge. He's not American. Duh, dumbass.
Dylan.
My first underrated drummer, I'm going to pick Mr. Bunny Carlos from Cheap Trick. Another drummer that plays exactly what he needs when he needs to. That's a band that if you're not Rick Nielsen or
Robin
Zander, you're often forgotten, even though Mr. Peterson and Mr. Bunny Carlos are an amazing rhythm section. He's no longer with the band. It's Robin Zander's son, Rick Nielsen's son, right? That's drumming for them now. But like the drum intro to Surrender, it's a simple, little thing, but then it's still remembered to
I
this
Want
day.
You to Want Me. Another great intro.
Another really amazing intro. And two songs that I focus on that aren't as popular. Just got back from All Shook Up. I think it's a really interesting, unique drum beat. A lot of bass drum that sounds really cool. And Woke Up With a Monster. I think
that's a great
drums
song.
are really
That is
cool
a
on that song.
great Cheap
That's a
Trick
very
song.
different song for them too.
Yeah, it is. That's one of my favorite Cheap Trick songs. And I actually love the drumming at the beginning of Ain't That a Shame on Live at Budokan. That's one of my favorite air drum songs that that's like my Tom Sawyer, that song. Like I hear that and I just have to do the air drums to
and
that.
like in that song, like when they're doing like each member does their own like like really good.
Excellent. In Cheap Trick, they're a band that I realize Bunny's not in the band anymore, but he's out doing his own thing now.
Is it?
Yes, he is out doing his own thing. I'm not exactly sure if it's called like Bunny Carlos and whatever, but he is definitely out there doing his own thing now. And
Plus, there was a young band who tapped him to play on their album. I can't remember who they were.
all right, Dylan, there's another thing for you to look up.
And Bunny Carlos is that he's like a Charlie Watts, Ringo kind of drummer. That old school, just play for the song, but has that feel that just makes the band work.
Definitely.
He was in Tinted Windows with Taylor Hanson from Hanson, James
Or was
E.
that
Ha
Nelson?
from James E. Ha from Smashing Pumpkins, and Fountains and Wayne bassist. So it was a bit of a super group. And he also filled in for John Cowsill at a sold-out Beach Boys show. So
Cool. All right, good pick, Dylan. Very, very good, solid pick. BC, how about you on Bunny Carlos? I know you're a Cheap Trick guy because I remember back in the day you took the wind out of my sails with your Cheap Trick love.
Like you said, nothing flashy, but had his own unique style and kept it going. Got nothing bad to say about it.
All right, cool. I'm gonna do my first under the radar pick, and this is not by any stretch of the means kissing ass because I would have picked this gentleman if he were not sitting right next to me. I'm gonna pick Carl. Phenomenal drummer. I'm telling you guys, check out the Rods live. Check out their albums. My personal favorite is Wild Dogs. I absolutely love that album. I put that on vinyl the other probably about a week ago. And I like totally like, why am I not listening to this album like just all the time? And just phenomenal. And to see Carl live, Carl plays with a local band around here also called the Jeffrey James Band. And just absolutely phenomenal drummer. And Carl, and he's like trying not to punch me in the face right now here.
Oh, where'd you go?
But like one of the most humble people you'll ever meet, and just a phenomenal killer drummer. And Carl, I'm definitely going to post one of your pictures with the big hair. I definitely have to do that.
That's right.
So it'll be like BB has bearded Zach, and unbearded Zach will have hair Carl, and less hair Carl. But I just there's some great Rods music out there, and I'm glad you guys are still still out there playing. You're gonna have a new album out, and Carl's gonna play us a new rough mix of a new Rod song after we're done recording, we'll report back to you guys how awesome it's going to be. I know it's going to be awesome, but guys, what do you think?
I gotta agree with Steve on this one. How did we not get into the rods back in the day? I don't know. But seeing them live the last few times, I really like your style and sound. Well, it's in today's world unique.
Yeah, definitely. Like, how did we not know a famous heavy metal drummer is living?
Someone did.
500 feet down the road from us, right?
I think that's the same for me when I, met you guys. I'm like, wow, somebody in Carbondale knows about metal. Like, what's going on? I lived here for 20 years. I never knew anybody who knew anything about metal.
I just want to point out, I was the one that had the rods for the heavy metal bracket for the March Madness episode. And I argued the hell out of you guys, Carl.
You did.
I think we made it to the semifinals.
Absolutely. I mean, great.
Well, thank you guys for the...
And just, you guys seriously check the rods out.
You were mentioning wild dogs, and we have a couple of promoters in Brazil, and we're negotiating that, just trying to work out the details. We may go to Brazil this summer. And one of the things they want us to do is we've never done it before, play the Wild Dogs album in its entirety.
Oh, wow.
That's kick-ass.
Yeah, so we're like, yeah, we'll do that, and we've never done it, so...
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Have to check out Flights to
It
Brazil.
may happen. We're still negotiating. So
Flights to Brazil.
Hope it does. That's excellent. That's kick-ass. All right, cool. And Carl, once again, before we continue, thank you for coming and participating with us here. It's fucking excellent.
I want to come back for the European drummers.
Absolutely, we will book you for that right now. And you're right. It was hard because you automatically think Cozy Powell's and the Bill Wards and the Ian Pace and all the
exactly.
automatically think those guys.
So many great drummers here.
But and we hope we're shedding some light and give people a little different perspective to actually listen to some of these drummers on these albums. I think a lot of these guys are under the radar.
I know I've got notes here, and I'm going to be listening to some stuff myself.
Excellent.
Nice.
BC.
Got a bucket here I'm going to reach into and just pull a name out. I'm going to go with Michael Foster of Firehouse. I mean, here's a band that is known, unfortunately, for their ballads, but here's a band that can rip it up live, and I think a lot of it has to do with the powerhouse drumming of Michael. And here's a guy that's
Firehouse,
damn it. But when they're live and then the drums just are in your face.
Excellent. Definitely a dynamic band, and you're right. They are known for their ballads, but these guys have some rockin' shit out there, and the drums are great. And they're not mixed down with those guys either. They're pretty up there, pretty good. And I know BB's a big Firehouse.
Yeah, I'm a big Firehouse, and it's funny because it would be one of those things. If I was on a game show, name the Firehouse drummer. As much as I love Firehouse, I don't think I could. So he's definitely one of those underrated guys because he kills it back there, but you don't know his name.
You don't really know it. No, he's not a household name.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, I what I've heard of Firehouse, because I haven't delved into their catalog too deeply. I'm sorry to say.
Get past the hits.
The drums are good. The drums are really solid. Absolutely.
Good pick, BC. BB, what do you
got? My next underrated guy is going to be Brian Teshy.
Another good one.
We've seen him with was it this show we talked about. We saw him down in Wilkes-Barre with Sun that opened up for
Queensryche. Jeff Tate Queensryche, and then he played with them.
Right.
And he had the Neil Peart set from All the World's a Stage, I think.
Yeah. And he's played with Whitesnake. He's played with Billy Idol. He was one of the founding guys with Pride and Glory with Black Label. Zach Wilde. Just another very phenomenal, underrated drummer. He has so many side projects. He played with the Dead Daisies. Just so many projects he's doing. And when we saw him live, he was just phenomenal.
Great.
And And like yourself, Carl, he was so humble. He talked to us for a little bit. Just a great guy, and he's just great to his fans too. Shaking hands, taking pictures, came out to the crowd. He's just a very humble guy and phenomenal drummer.
Yeah, he's great. Last time I saw him, we talked about him on the Kiss Cruise episode. I saw him with the Dead Daisies, and he did the 100,000 Years solo from Kiss Alive.
Yeah.
Like dead on with doing the Paul Stanley rap as he's playing. Just absolutely amazing. Phenomenal drummer. And like you said, super nice guy.
And what does he do that's unique? The speed bag.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
That's right.
Yeah, he plays the drums and he has a speed bag and he hits the speed bag when he's playing the drums. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I got to write that down. I forgot about that.
Funny. I had a speed bag for years in the early days. It's really helpful. I just bought one recently. I thought I would start working on it again because at the gym, people were always hanging on it. So I bought some gloves and I'm like, what happened to the speed bag? Oh, yeah, they always pull it off. So I bought one. I have to put it up. But it is really helpful to play drums.
Are we going to see that on the side of the Rod's drum kit?
Now that you say that, I don't want to steal it from them, but I might. Put it up there.
And actually, they asked him about that on that metal show, and he said that Zoltan Chaney came up with that for him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so watch it's the episode where,
I'll have to go.
because usually on that metal show they would have the guitar player spotlight guy, but they had Brian Tishy playing the drums on the one, and he had the speed bag on there, and they actually showed him, and he had said, I don't know if it was on there or another interview that I saw, that it was Zoltan Chaney that worked with him on that speed bag aspect while he's actually playing. Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I mean, it's
Does he
cool
have
to
like a trigger so he's hitting it, it's triggering a drum sound? That would
I
be-
think
I
it's just.
think it's just mic'd. I think it's the
I think
bag.
he just has
The
it
bag is
mic'd,
mic'd. Yeah. I mean, like,
You can make it
Totally
your own,
different.
Carly. Instead of like a mic stand that comes back and forth, you can have you can work your left hand and bring it around, work your right hand.
No, I like
You
that.
can bring your own, make it
I
your
like that.
own.
I could have a drum trigger in it and maybe a couple of two lovely ladies holding it for me and
there you go.
next to the drums.
Even better.
hey, we like involving the young ladies.
Part of,
Absolutely.
well, it's part of the show.
Yeah, there you
Definitely.
It's all about the show.
Good pick. Carl, what do you got next under the radar, guys, here?
I have Frank Beard from ZZ Top.
Oh, yeah.
He's a guy who doesn't get much recognition, and yet he was pretty influential, and he does some cool things, and he's just back there playing. But if you listen to the drum tracks, he really kicks the hell out of the band, So, and he does some cool fills that you don't hear from other drummers. He does the shuffle, and he does this triplet thing, which is like an Ainsley Dunbar, the British drummer. So I shouldn't be mentioning him, but
That's all right.
But he definitely he plays those cool fills, and I know that a lot of us drummers, when we talk Frank Beard because he does the same kind of skip note triplet that John Bonham played, but he does it on a snare drum. So John Bonham did that with the doom doom ba, and Frank Beard plays that on the snare drum, and that's kind of like the Texas shuffle that he plays and with ZZ Top that drives the band so well. So
Cool. Good pick. Yeah. He's a guy I never would have thought of at all. Actually, that may be the first time that ZZ Top was ever mentioned on the show, actually. Who doesn't know the ZZ Top song? Even just the hits. They're a band that the hits are actually, you don't mind hearing them because you don't hear them, ad nauseum like
Right.
a bunch of other songs. But it's weird too that Frank Beard is the only guy in ZZ Top that has no beard.
He sometimes has a beard.
Does he?
Sometimes has a
Okay,
beard.
but like not the epic beards that
That's known for.
Dusty and Billy have.
Do you remember what movie ZZ Top is in?
No, Dylan. I
Back to
don't.
the Future Part 3.
Oh, see, I checked out after the first one.
Oh, come on, that's a good one. You got
Biff.
Mary Steenburgen in there as Doc Brown's love interest. It's great.
No,
It's a great movie.
I'm good. That stuff.
I'm
Appreciate
a
it.
fan of all those movies too.
Yeah. See, thanks,
Yeah, I
Carl.
checked out after the first one. It's like give me the first Wayne's World, give me the first Bill and Ted, give me the first Back to the Future. After that, I don't want to
And
hear
all
about it.
those sequels,
They do a
sequels
great,
are great.
great cover of The Boys Are Back in Town in the third
They
Back
do.
to the Future.
Maybe that's why I don't watch it.
It's just crazy how it's just all coming back to
It is. I'm getting bombarded with the boys are back in town tonight. Holy shit, it's crazy. All right, cool, good pick, Frank Beard. Wow, like I said, I never would have thought about him in 100 years. Dylan.
My next underrated drummer is one Brad Wilk, mostly known for Rage Against the Machine. He was in Audio Slave, Prophets of Rage, but he also performed in Black Sabbath's 13 album. He was the drummer for the album itself before Tommy Clufetos came in to tour for the album. Really good, another like funk-driven drummer. I think Rage is a band that is definitely like funk, metal, punk-ish stuff. Really solid drummer. I think he's very underrated. Some really cool stuff with it. Him and Tim Comerford are a really solid rhythm section for Audio Slave and for Rage Against the
I love the
Machine.
stuff in Audio Slave.
Yeah, his Audio Slave drumming is really, really good. Yeah,
It's funny you mention him because I was kind of channeling him.
Yeah.
When I was in Miami, there's a song called Crawl on the St. James record, and it's kind of an Audio Slave vibe to it, and I was like, yeah.
I love that.
Well, that's going to be interesting. That's cool.
Anybody else know Brad Wilk now?
I
know some Rage Against the Machine, but not enough to
really
say, hey, but
He's good.
Yeah, I mean, I like his drumming on the
13.
on 13 album, which I always kind of wondered why Tommy Clufetos didn't play on that album. You know what I mean? Because he toured with him before that.
right.
I think he was maybe on tour with Rob Zombie at the time, and then he left the tour afterwards. I'm not sure though. It's weird because it was announced. It was announced in May of 2012 that Tommy Clufetos was rehearsing with Black Sabbath, but they were recording with Brad Wilk. I don't understand that. It's very strange.
Yeah, so I don't know what the dynamic was there with that, but I mean, cool, definitely a cool pick. You know, I mean, I really think it was a good pick. Cool.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks.
Good job, Dylan.
Thanks,
Good job. And actually, while I'm saying good job, Dylan, while I'm thinking of it, I want to congratulate Dylan. He just graduated college this past weekend from Marywood University, cum laude, which is great honors.
Phenomenal.
And I'm very proud of you, and you kicked ass. Great job, and I'm sure there's great things out there, in the future for you. So, congratulations to Dylan on his graduation.
Thank you.
All right, cool. My next pick will be Todd Suckerman.
Mm-hmm. Great choice.
Current drummer in Styx. This guy is absolutely amazing. He joined Styx when John Panazzo was declining in health and sick from whatever ailments he had going on at the time, and he joined him. And I'll tell you what, he definitely brings a kick in the ass to that band. He does. Phenomenal. He's played on every album since 1997. He's been with them forever. The new album that came out last year, The Mission, is just absolutely an amazing Styx album. He posts a lot of videos of him playing the drums during Styx songs, and I think it was cool too because he did a blooper reel, and I'm sure you could probably sympathize, Carl, because I'm sure there's times where you play something and something gets messed up, or you
every show I do
play something
is a blooper
fucked
reel.
up or whatever, and so but he put that out there, and you could tell, and he does something, he looks over at like his drug tech, he's like fuck, but like it's cool to see that, but just like to watch him play. And you don't realize, and I realize that he is not the original drummer in Styx, but he definitely brings a great flavor to the classic Styx songs. Mm-hmm. And if you watch him play these songs, like songs like "Fooling Yourself" and name a classic Styx song like "Grand Illusion" or "Superstars," whatever.
Mr. Roboto.
No, I don't think I've ever seen him play Mr. Roboto, actually. I don't think I've ever seen that. But Just a great drummer, great feel, and I think he is an absolute perfect fit for that band. And I think that he definitely deserves the props of a fantastic drummer. Sounds like you're familiar with him, Carl.
He was going to be on my list.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a phenomenal drummer. I thought I read somewhere, though, that he's no longer with them. He's taking a little hiatus or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh.
hopefully not, because I loved him in Styx, and I love the videos he posts.
Yeah, they're great. I think
But
they're
he is a
excellent.
phenomenal drummer, and he stays musical and true to the music, but he just kicks it up such a notch above what you would expect, and it just gives the music life.
Yeah, and I think he's kind of in the kind of shoes that you wear, Carl. I know he's working on recording stuff with other bands and stuff that if you watch his videos, you'll see once in a while he'll throw them out there that he's doing other projects and everything like that. But just a great, solid drummer.
Toured with Spinal Tap for a couple shows.
See, I told you there was a Spinal Tap connection here.
And
We
he
talked about
spontaneously
that before.
combusted, so he's no longer with the band.
Ah, see. They killed Kenny. You bastard. All right, cool. Anything on Todd, you guys?
I have not seen him.
Check it out.
Yeah, he really makes the show.
Yeah, I like his Facebook thing because I always follow him on there, and he, like you said, he always has those cool videos.
Videos are just freaking great. All right, back to BC.
Let's reach in the hat. Let's go with Dean Casanova. Currently with
Dead Daisies.
Thank you. Was with Journey for a while until
He had problems.
he had a little bump in the road, but who doesn't? But here's a guy that throughout the years, I mean, he played with Ozzy, believe it or not. 93 to 95, osmosis. I mean, here's a guy that can play. I mean, his style, and he seems like he's a down-to-earth kind of funny guy, I think. But
And he can sing.
and he
sing,
he
yeah,
can
he's a
also
great
sing
singer.
too. I mean,
He could have been the replacement singer in Journey.
yeah. Well, he sang.
Yeah, if you
sings
watch
some of
the
those.
one video, he sings "Still They Ride" and something else, and you're like,
Damn.
why is this other guy running around the stage? This guy
See, I
could have
think
sang
he's
the whole
in
show.
the same school as Todd Zuckerman. I mean, he's a phenomenal technician as well as a musical drummer.
Technically, he's very
He is.
great.
If you watch the Journey video from 1999 that they recorded in Las Vegas, absolutely amazing concert, and they do 2 songs on that album, on that DVD that I actually love. I actually had BB make a copy from that for me. Remember I had you do
really?
that?
Yeah.
The one's called Fillmore Boogie, and the other one is La Raza del Sol, which was like a little song that was on like some Journey box set or something. It was like a 2-minute song. They extend this song into this big jam where like Dean kicks ass and Jonathan Cain does this crazy keyboard shit, and Neil Schon just like totally tears it up. And Fillmore Boogie's another instrumental. La Raza del Sol just has a little bit of lyrics in it, but it's mostly musical. And the Fillmore Boogie they do is just this jam where they just like totally tear it up. And you're watching, you're going like, holy fuck, this is Journey. This is Open Arms. But I mean, they're just
I
tearing
first
the
heard of
fuck
him
up.
in Bad English.
Yeah.
Something I find interesting about Dean Casanova, he apparently for the band Hole, which is Courtney Love's band, on the album Celebrity Skin, was brought in to re-record the drummer's parts, and that actually ended up causing the band to split up. So Dean Casanova basically broke
Unwittingly
up
broke up Hole.
Yeah, for a few years until
Well,
they-
then so Courtney Love went into acting, so she did so good there.
yeah, absolutely.
He was Paul Rogers, Steve Vai.
Those are Malibu, that's a really good song
Here's their guy that's been
that he
around.
put drums on.
Yeah, and
everybody.
he's like you said, he had some problems a couple years ago, but he does that band with Jack Blaze and Doug
Revolution
Aldrich.
of Saints.
Revolution Saints.
I was just gonna say
And they just
Revolution
put out their
Saints.
second album. It's one of the Frontiers Records concoctions
Right.
that is out there. But it's if you listen to the albums, they're like a heavy Journey, but real good stuff though. Real good stuff, which is weird because Dean sings most of the stuff on there. You think Jack Blades would be doing a lot of the singing, but it's mostly Dean singing, and the guy has got a kick-ass singing voice. Good pick, BC. Well, you're pretty conscious tonight.
Well,
Spot on.
It's all over, but he has a book. of names.
That's true. He's got more to pick from than any of us.
When we get to basis, he'll
Unbelievable.
be checking out again.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically like,
Gene Simmons.
Gene Simmons, I said
Hey,
it
Gene
before.
Simmons is a lot better bass player than you
Gene
think.
Simmons also not American.
Damn it.
Oh, stop it.
But
He's naturalized also.
He was born in Israel.
yeah, but he came in an American band.
Go away.
Go away.
But not till we're done recording.
I'll say it now. Shut up, Dylan. All right, BB, what do you got?
My next underrated guy is somewhat of a local guy, Chat Saliga. Played with Breaking Ben for a little bit. Played with Black Label. He's currently with the Black Star Riders. I think he replaced Jimmy DeGrasso
Yes.
in the drumming. We just saw him open up for Judas Priest on a Wilkes-Barre. Another phenomenal, underrated drummer. He doesn't get the props that he's...
His ride symbol is still banging in my head because that's all we could hear.
That's all we could hear because the sound was horrible to start out that
Not the band
concert,
though. The soundboard
right.
was the guy was asleep.
Another guy, young kid. He another one that works with Zoltan. I think
He
and
was
Zoltan
his
work back
drummer.
and forth. He's like his drum tech guy.
Yeah.
So another Zoltan Chaney coming back into the loop here. Played with Black Label. One of the songs I love that he drums on is "Empty Promises." It's just a great drum change and something that I've never heard out of a modern day drummer. It's just the tone, the dings he does. It's a great tune. So listen to that. Another underrated drummer in my book.
Great drummer, and he's an excellent drummer to watch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like really, and a super nice guy. And actually, he's the one. BB noticed him at the Vince Neil show. Yelled to him. He came out after, and we were talking with him, and he brought Zoltan out to talk to us.
Yeah.
And
That was amazing.
like super nice guy, local guy. He's from Wilkes-Barre. Like he said, the original drummer in Breaking Benjamin. Just a phenomenal drummer and a super nice guy.
Yeah, I remember seeing him with R After at Elder Rigby's.
Yes.
And he was just phenomenal then. That was back in the early 2010s. That was like...
Yeah, he
that's
gave
back
Carson
when
a
I was
drumstick
stoned.
that night.
But yeah, he definitely is able to... Another chameleon is able to fit in whatever band that he finds himself in.
Yeah. And I really want to see the Black Star Riders play where I could actually hear them.
Hear the rest of the band.
And I just love those guys. I just absolutely fucking love those guys.
Good pick.
Very good pick. Carl.
I have for underrated drummer, and of course he's deceased now, Gary Driscoll. And Gary Driscoll, not well known, but Gary Driscoll was a friend of mine, but he played in Elf, and he played in the first Rainbow album.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And
I'm trying to think, where do I know that name from?
and just a phenomenal drummer. And of course, growing up in upstate, and I even rehearsed in the house where Elf, we rehearsed in the garage portion, and they rehearsed in the house. And going to see him from, when I was like 17, 18 and started going to clubs to see him play. But if you listen to the first Rainbow and you listen to the Elf album, he had just a phenomenal style. And you can see why Richie tapped him to begin with, for the first Rainbow. And if you listen to that first Rainbow album, he's just got this great style. And it was one of those people who was like almost a savant the way he played. I don't think he always knew what he was playing, but it was just so creative. And he would just come up with these amazing things. And, you go see him and there would be, 30 drummers, all of us standing there watching him because he was so amazing.
Cool. Now Elf opened up for Deep Purple. That's how Richie
They
snagged
did, yeah,
them,
they
correct?
spent a year on the road with them. And
So he snagged two of them. He snagged Ronnie and
actually
he
snagged
Gary?
the whole band. With David left the band and they replaced
okay.
the guitarist. And then Richie took the whole band. Craig Gruber on bass and Gary Driscoll on drums, Ronnie, of course, Mickey Lee, Sewell playing keyboards. Who then wound up, Mickey Lee's been in the Deep Purple organization ever since then, working.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Gary Driscoll. Good. Wow. Good old school pick. Excellent. Dylan.
My next pick for underrated is a man that is currently in a pretty big band, but before he found himself in that position, he cut his teeth with a ton of amazing other groups. Eric Singer, currently in Kiss, but he's worked with Alice Cooper. He was in Badlands. Lita Ford, Gary Moore. Gilby Clarke, Paul Stanley himself, Black Sabbath. Like he's done it all. And he's another guy that is able to shape his drum style for whatever the situation arises. And I think it's really impressive. You listen to like his drumming on Alice Cooper and you listen to his drumming on Kiss, and it's like two kind of distinct styles, but you can still hear that Eric Singer tinge to it. Yeah.
Great pick. I mean, in
now
cool
that we have all the Kiss drummers.
We do. We hit all of them. Will he be in your mountain in the cat makeup or just himself?
I'm gonna say in the non-makeup.
In the non-makeup, okay.
Although I do like his work on Sonic Boom and Monster.
But he does have more recordings out of the makeup than he does in the makeup.
I love him in Revenge.
Revenge is great, and I think the first time I got to see him live was with Badlands. I think was the first time I saw him live, and he plays on what was supposed to be Tony Iommi's solo album, which ended up being Seventh Star under the Black Sabbath moniker.
Yeah.
He's the drummer on that, which is really, really good, and just a phenomenal drummer. And I said on a couple shows before, one time we met Eric Singer was kind of a dick to Rob, but then when I met him at the Kiss Expo a couple of years ago, I mean, he stood and bullshitted. There was a line of friggin' 300 people behind me, and he stood and bullshitted with me for like 5 minutes. And people were just like, what the fuck is he talking to this guy about? Like, he had like maybe like a minute with other people, and he just kept talking. I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna discourage you from talking to me. And really, really cool guy. And on the Kiss cruise, he was the main guy in the band that you would see out on the boat. Like you would once in a while see Paul, but he'd have his guards and stuff. But like Eric could just be out walking, hanging with he'd have some friends on there and stuff like that. I don't think we saw Gene out at all on the boat. Tommy Thayer, he hung out a little bit, but he wasn't out there like Eric was. And Eric Singer, I think, is more like Eric Carr, where he's the link, more of a link to the fans than the rest of the guys in the band.
Yeah, what a big resume he has too.
Absolutely,
Very impressive.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and he's in that Hired Gun movie. That documentary that's out, and I don't know if you've seen it. It's great, and I knew he was in it, but they saved him till the end because I think that they made a point of saying that Eric Singer's in this movie to suck in the Kiss fans to watch this, but they put him at the end so that you had to watch the whole movie to get to the Eric Singer part.
But
it's just a great movie. I mean, it has a ton of guys on there. It's got
Nita Strauss was on there.
Nita Strauss on there. It's got Jason Hook. It's got Kenny Aronoff. It has Damon Johnson's on there.
The band Toto.
Yeah, I mean Steve Lukather. I mean, I got to give a for him. He's like fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
But just a great pick, Dylan. Excellent pick. All right, I'm going to pick AJ Perro.
Okay.
Totally under the radar, underrated guy. Most signature thing, his drum intro did "We're Not Gonna Take It." For as great as that is, and BC and I have had this conversation too. When we heard that he was going to be the drummer in Adrenaline Mob, we're like, wow, I can't picture him playing that type of more aggressive music that they play, coming from the Twisted Sister thing. But he killed it. He absolutely nailed it. Unfortunately, he also passed away, and actually he passed away on their tour bus while they were on tour. But just a killer drummer. BC and I separately saw him when he was in Archangel with Carl Logan, and he was phenomenal there. I mean, and I met him, shook his hand. This was way before cell phones. It was, you meet a guy, you're like, hey, what's up? And we bullshitted for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and I saw him actually down the state and on the Ballpark Lounge, I think it was called. And really cool guy, like a fire plug of a guy though, just like a short, stocky guy. But he definitely had the look. You do not want to fuck with this guy, but just a super nice guy. From what I met him, in a monster drummer.
No, I agree. He's a nice guy, really talented. He killed the drums.
All right, BC, this is it. This is the last hurrah for you, my friend.
I have like 15 names to choose from. I'm gonna go totally off the scale here. Jeff Plate, Sabotage, Trans-Siberian Orchestra. He's done the solo stuff with Chris Cafferty, Dr. Butcher, Metal Church. Here's a guy. I like his style, his technique. I guess you could say and he's a showman, kind of behind the drums for being behind the drums. You always see him, but when you do see him, especially in the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, he kind of gets a little bit. But the other bands, he's back there and did what he had to do.
Absolutely, and I think he's fantastic with TSO. His work with Sabotage is just
nothing against the other drummer when they brought him in, just
kick ass. Yeah, I mean
I agree. No difference. I mean, big difference.
The live concert.
Yeah.
And Jeff is the nicest guy.
I'll say, Carl, you probably know him.
I do. In fact, he's been really kind in terms of like citing me as one of his influences, which. He's established himself well. He doesn't have to mention my name, but he does. He's very kind. But he's a very talented guy. And, to do what he does, Sabotage is one thing, but then you're talking TSO is a whole other animal. Mm-hmm. And, he controls that whole show. And it's amazing what he does and what he does within the confines of the music. He still has his own style. He still finds a way to make it his own, but it's a very regimented, orchestrated kind of music, and yet he still comes out and puts his signature on it. It's impressive.
Good pick. I figured you would have picked him sooner. I figured he would have been one of your main guys.
Like I told you,
there's so many to choose from.
There's so many to choose from. At the end, then I went back to square one and said, first time I heard these guys, and they stuck with me, and that's who I wanted my main four to be.
Cool.
And then there's like 50 other ones.
Yeah. All right, BB, last pick. Make it a good one.
All right. We've talked about these guys on the podcast, how great their music is and how much we'd like to have these guys actually release a real musical album. I'm picking Styx from Steel Panther. I think drumming wise, he is spot on. He really fits that band, and as much as we're getting repetitive of hearing the same over and over. I would love to hear these guys do a real album with regular lyrics, and because their music is phenomenal. And I think he's just underrated because not a lot of people actually know these guys or know this band. I think. His real name is Darren Leader.
Yeah.
He goes by the stage name of Styx Zandina. So.
Well, he is good. I've seen him play live a bunch of times.
He was also in a band with Jeff Duncan for a while. Called the Thornbirds.
Oh, cool.
So connection to DC4.
Good pick. Oh, DC4. I love those guys too. All right, Carl, last pick.
I don't know that he is that underrated a drummer, but I think Steve Smith is a drummer who needs to be mentioned. Yeah. He's phenomenal, and he plays so many different styles. Obviously, he does a lot of the jazz stuff, but he's also played some really great rock stuff. And especially all the Journey stuff was phenomenal. Heavy stuff, but very tasteful, and yet he's a great technician. And
he's back in Journey.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me?
He's back in Journey.
And he's back in Journey, yeah. And, I think Steve Smith is a guy who probably deserves more recognition than he gets.
Excellent drummer. We have 2 Journey drummers tonight. Both well deserved. I mean, Steve Smith, classic drummer. Yes. He's been in the area because I'm sure you know John Price, and John Price said he got to play with him, and he said it was like just really cool.
Yeah,
really cool.
Yeah, when they play at the Radisson, I usually go and check him out.
Yeah, and just listen to Journey Captured, the album Journey Captured. His playing on that is just absolutely phenomenal. Great pick. All right, Dylan, final hurrah here for you, buddy.
Well, actually, I think I can connect these last two. So, Steve Smith was brought in to record the majority of the drum tracks for Y&T's 10 after my pick, Jimmy DeGrasso, left the band for a little bit. Jimmy DeGrasso, he has played with Y&T for Contagious. He was in for Musically Incorrect, I believe, pulling up his thing. He's played for Megadeth. David Lee Roth for a little bit. He recorded all the Black Star Riders.
Black Star Riders.
Yeah, he was on Yesterday and Today Live. He was
We saw him with Alice Cooper.
That was the first time I actually was introduced to Jimmy DeGrasso was in Wayne's World because he was the drummer for that scene. So seeing Jimmy DeGrasso there really influenced me. But yeah, he was on Megadeth from Risk up until War Chest, which is like their anthology
box set. Yeah,
box set.
But he's a really solid drummer. Really good rock drummer.
He was at Rat.
Yeah, he was with Rat for a little bit. Suicidal Tendencies. He's been all over the place.
He's everywhere.
So I think we should give him some recognition.
Definitely.
He's like the Mike Portnoy and Brian Tischer that you don't hear about.
Yeah.
Yeah, his stuff on
Big
Contagious
credits.
is
He's
amazing.
out there, great chops, and he's another guy that just is able to just come in and play what they need him to play, and put his own little signature stuff on it. Excellent pick. Last pick for me. I'm surprised that BC did not pick this guy. I'm going to pick Wild Mick Brown
Oh, there he is.
as my final drummer.
It was on the list.
Talk about a great drummer. I mean, and a cool guy to watch. All the Dawkins stuff. He played live with Ted Nugent for years and years. Just a great guy. He seemed like be a cool guy to party with.
He's definitely a character.
He's definitely a
just
character,
to hang out with.
But just
He did
solid.
steal a golf cart in Maine and drive
He got a DUI
drive
on
it
it.
down the street.
Yeah.
Drunk, so.
Yeah. Woo! Just a solid guy, and just he could play, the soft drums from like Alone Again to something like Mr. Scary or Maddest Hatter rather. Just a great. I think he's a great guy, and I think he definitely deserves the place on at least someone's mountain.
Yeah, definitely a great pick. Holds that Dokken band together, and he's very underrated. Just a really great pick because
Pretty much been
another one you don't hear of that much, because he's always behind Lynch and Dokken. So.
Honestly, he's always been the Dawkins drummer.
Yeah, no one else has
forever.
drummed for them.
Very cool, very good pick.
All right.
They've gone through guitar and basses, but never same drummer.
All right, very cool. All right, you guys, there's our picks for better or worse. I would not say for worse because everyone picked someone that was awesome on every level. And let us know, you guys out there, who would you put on there? Even just if you want to just give us your main four or your under the radar four, let us know who you guys would put up on your Mount Rushmore for American drummers. And like we said, this is number 2 in a series. We'll be back with we'll do bass players at one point. We'll do singers and or frontmen, however you want to phrase that. We had a big argument about how to phrase that
We didn't need to
a little
bring that
while ago. But I got to bring it up. But we're definitely gonna, complete the series, and then we're gonna do the Canadian dudes. I don't know if we're gonna combine Canadian and European. We're not really sure what we're doing, but we're gonna do something similar with guys from other countries. We just wanted, since it's Mount Rushmore, we needed to have American guys on there. Even though I'm sure Sonny will probably be shaking his head at a couple of my picks, but hey, what are you gonna do? So you know what, you guys, thanks for tuning in. We're gonna go around the table here. We'll say our goodbyes and we'll wrap up. BC.
Hey, thanks for tuning in, guys. And like I said, get out there and support new and live music. And don't be afraid to check out some of these bands we talk about that probably nobody's ever heard of.
Thank you once again. It's always an honor to sit here and talk music with you. And thanks for you guys out there listening. Make sure you share us and repost us. And thanks for interacting with us when we have our polls. And you guys make this podcast, so keep sharing, keep doing what you're doing. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Carl. We really appreciate it. It's good to have two people that play drums, so somebody knows what they're talking about in terms of drumming. But there of course are some drummers that there's too many to mention that we could have put on the list. Like Tommy Lee is a big one from the American side that we could have talked about. But that's why we want you guys to interact and let us know what drummers you think we should have put on, because that's the best part about like lists, episodes or things like that. It's the conversation that comes from it. So get that conversation started. Let us know what you think we should have done.
No, it's great to be on, and I've learned a lot. I have a whole list of drummers I'm going to be checking out. And like you said, this is for all the drummers we talked about, we've really just
Drop in a bucket.
It really is. It's the tip of the iceberg, and of all the drummers, and they're all great in their own way, and and all deserve a mention at some point. It's just too many to mention. But like you said, people can certainly, contact you and let you know what's up, and see about any future things. But this was really great for me. I enjoyed it. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
It was a lot of fun.
All right, thank you. I'm going to also thank Carl for joining us. It's always a pleasure having Carl here. And even just if I meet Carl in the grocery store, we're talking bullshitting for half an hour. It's always a great conversation with Carl. Before we recorded tonight, we probably had a good half-hour conversation just bullshitting. And check out the Rods, check out the St. James album. And Carl's got some stuff coming up with Held Hostage. He's got new St. James stuff coming up, new Rod stuff coming up. Seriously, check those guys out. Check Carl out. And thank you guys for listening. Let me thank my fellow co-host BC, BB, and once again, congratulations to Dylan for graduating college. It's just awesome.
Very impressive marks.
The amount of work that Dylan put into graduate with honors, with juggling working and editing the podcast, he just totally kicks ass. And thank you guys out there for listening. Check us out on Facebook, on iTunes. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, check out Held Hostage. Joe Lynn Turner is the guest vocalist on Show Me the Way Back Home, and it is that everything Held Hostage does, a portion of everything they do, live shows, merchandise, including the song Show Me the Way Back Home, a portion of that goes to support veterans organizations. So Joe Lynn Turner kicks ass on the song, but everything about it, check it out, maybe do a download, but a portion of that money, and it's a good percentage that goes to the veterans organization. So they're a good band to support. Not only are they talented, but they give back.
Excellent. Did not know that. Thanks for bringing that up, Carl. Appreciate that. And Jolyn Turner, we know you had some health problems recently, and we hope you have a speedy recovery. And like I said, you guys, check us out. We're on iTunes, Ear Peeler, CastBox, Google Play, anywhere, YouTube, anywhere pretty much where you can hear a podcast. We're out there. Check us out. Share us with your friends. If you'd be so kind, give us a 5-star review on Facebook, or hopefully definitely iTunes. That definitely helps us get us out there to be associated with other hard rock and metal podcasts. And we appreciate you guys listening, and we will see you next time, and there will be a next time.